12 years ago, the nine-tailed fox wreaked havoc on the shinobi village as a force of ninjas stood against it. The fourth hawk sacrificed himself to trap the fox's spirit and a newborn baby named Naruto. He grows up to be a bit of a troublemaker. One day, after getting caught vandalizing the community's most honored sculptures, Iduka, his teacher, makes the whole class retake their transformation jutsu test. As punishment, so of course Naruto transforms into a naked woman using his homebrew sexy jutsu. The last test for the final exam is on clone jutsu. Naruto's worst technique. Unfortunately, he fails Mizuki. Another instructor tries to defend him, but Uka can't pass him. Afterwards, Mizuki tells Naruto about a scroll which could help him pass and where to get it. It's a prized possession of the community that contains powerful high-level ninja techniques. When the others hear that the scroll has gone missing, the village goes into a panic. Uka catches Naruto with the scroll and Mizuki shows up. It's he who wants the scroll, and to eliminate Naruto, Mizuki tries to convince Naruto not to trust Uka by revealing a fact that's been kept from him his entire life, even by Uka, that he's the nine-tailed fox. Naruto is distracted, rethinking his entire experience. Mizuki takes advantage of the moment and throws a shoen at the kid, but Ayuka jumps in its path and takes it in his back. He tries to console Naruto and even explains that he empathizes with him, but not knowing what to believe, Naruto makes a break for it. The two ninjas trick each other using transformation jutsu, but Uka has the disadvantage of being seriously injured. Naruto overhears Uka defending him and is convinced that he does care for him and he has to help him using the shadow clone jutsu he earned from the scroll. He overpowers Mizuki with that his teacher passes him on the spot. The third hawk's grandson interrupts a disagreement between his grandfather and Naruto. The boy's confidence that the new ninja won't lay a finger on him because of who he is, or more to the point, who his grandfather is quickly shattered when Naruto outright punches him. Surprised by the audacity of this individual, the boy decides to follow him, declares the ninja his new mentor, and insists on being trained to perform sexy jutsu. Okay, to start, Naruto tells the kid to show him his transformation jutsu, which isn't quite up to snuff. With some practice under Naruto's direction, he manages to get it down. The boy's teacher hunts them down and he puts his new technique to the test, though mortified that the honorable grandson knows such a technique. The virtuous-minded tutor is unaffected. Abu turns to Naruto, who uses the shadow clone jutsu. The teacher is not intimidated, that is, until Naruto transforms every clone with his sexy jutsu, leveling it up to haram jutsu, which knocks him out. Even the virtuous have their limits. The kid beams at Naruto, who calls him by his name, Konohamaru, unlike the rest of the village who just see him as the grandson of the third Hokage rather than as his own person. Konohamaru gets that Naruto's no sensei and decides that they will be rivaled. He promises that one day they'll fight for the title of Hokage. Naruto encourages this and tells him that he's looking forward to it. It's orientation for the next phase of ninja training for the graduates, and all the girls are fawning over Sasuke, especially Sakura, Naruto's crush. He wonders what they all see in him. In an attempt to size him up, he and Sasuke end up locking more than their eyes. Uka explains that the class will be broken up into groups of 3. Of course, Sakura, Naruto, and Sasuke make up Team 7, and after lunch they'll meet their new joining teachers. Naruto gets shot down when he asks Sakura to have lunch with him, so he goes and sneaks up on Sasuke looking for a fight. And he gets one. A moment later, Sasuke emerges. He finds Sakura and she puts it all out there, confessing her feelings for him, but it turns out that Naruto got the jump on Sasuke and transformed into him before anything can happen between them, and something was about to. Naruto's stomach rumbles and he dips when the real Sasuke shows up. He calls Sakura annoying, which gets in her head and prompts her to rethink how she treats Naruto. That afternoon, their new sensei Kakashi introduces himself. He tells them to get ready for a survival exercise the following day, but keeps it cryptic, and apparently there are only 9 spots for the new ninjas to advance, and these exercises are pass-fail. The following morning, the trio waits around for their tardy sensei. When he gets there, he sets a timer for noon and tells them they have to retrieve one of 2 bells from his person in order to pass. Since there are only 2, at least one of them must fail the testo, and they were instructed to not eat breakfast, and only the 2 who manage to get the bells will be awarded with lunch. Naruto starts with a direct offensive maneuver, no sweat. Kakashi moves faster than the young ninjas can perceive, though he appreciates the enthusiasm elsewhere. The third Hokage discusses Kakashi's teaching methods with Uka. Apparently he's never passed a student before, which worries their former teacher. Naruto uses shadow clone jutsu to distract Kakashi and sneaks up behind him, but Kakashi employs substitution jutsu quickly, switching places with one of the clones, thinking he's used transformation to copy his appearance. An all-out brawl breaks out between the Naruto while Kakashi slinks into the shadows. Afterwards, Naruto notices one of the bells on the ground, but when he pounces on it, he's caught in a snare trap and hangs from a tree. While Kakashi lectures him, Sasuke sees an opportunity and throws a number of Shine substitution. Again, Kakashi watches from the bushes. Naruto manages to cut himself free, but then immediately steps into another snare. Meanwhile, Sakura happens upon a devastatingly wounded Sasuke. Overwhelmed at the sight of him in this state and unaware of the deception, she faints. Sasuke, however, remains vigilant. In a daring move, he's able to momentarily distract Kakashi and almost lands a blow and even manages to touch one of the bells. Sakura awakens, still oblivious. Naruto, from his privileged vantage point, spots the two bento boxes reserved for the successful SAS, capitalizes on the moment and unleashes a fiery jutsu. Kakashi is impressed but easily evades and counterattacks by pulling him into the earth up to his neck. Naruto is about to dig in, but Kakashi catches him before he's even opened one of the boxes. Sokka stumbles upon Sasa's head, which addresses her, and she passes out again. When she comes to Sasuke has dug himself out, she suggests giving up, but Sasuke, adamant, refuses. He sees this challenge as a stepping stone in his quest to get strong enough to restore his clan and vanquish the one responsible for bringing tragedy upon his family. The alarm clock then informs them that time is up and no one has retrieved a bell. Kakashi opts to not send them back to the academy. Instead, he takes the more drastic step of dropping them from the ninja program entirely. He points out that they haven't grasped why they were assigned to a squad in the first place. By only having two bells, he pitted them against each other to test their ability to see past the sacrifice that one of them must make and work together to complete the mission. This is essential to the conduct of a true ninja. Fortunately, Kakashi grants them one more chance to retrieve the bells. After lunch, Sasuke and Sakura get to eat, but not Naruto, and anyone who shares food with him will fail immediately. Despite this, when Kakashi is away, both offer their provisions to Naruto anyway. Kakashi makes a dramatic reappearance and attempts to instill the fear of punishment. However, when the trio stands together, unwavering in their commitment to one another, Kakashi delivers his unexpected verdict. They pass. They are the first group to willingly break the rules to uphold their squad's unity, earning them the right to continue their journey as ninjas. Team 7 accomplishes a mission of retrieving a lost cat. Naruto wants to go on a real mission but gets put in his place. The Hawk explains that each mission that comes in is ranked on a scale from A through D, which corresponds to the rankings given to the ninjas, but Naruto isn't paying attention. The Hawk is amused, however, and tells them that he'll give them a C rank mission. They'll be bodyguards for a master bridge builder returning to his home country. Outside the gates, Naruto is excited. It's his first time outside of the village. The builder is not impressed with the inexperienced team and doesn't hesitate to hurl insults at Naruto, who seems to him to be the worst of the bunch. As they set off, two shadowy figures observe and pursue them unnoticed. The wave country they're headed to is small and doesn't have their own ninjas. Kakashi tries to quell any worries, telling them that there aren't any ninja battles when it comes to C-rank missions. Well, that is until they're surprised by a ninja attack. Seconds later, they take Kakashi by surprise but underestimate the kids, allowing Sasuke to make a pretty impressive move. Sakura and Sasuke stand between them and the builder, and Kakashi comes to the rescue, having used substitution jutsu to trick the enemy. Naruto berates himself for freezing up. When Sasuke leapt into action, Kakashi tells him to remain still. He was cut and the ninja's claws are laced with poison. Kakashi had clued into the fact that they weren't alone out there, but he held off to figure out who the enemy ninjas were after. Apparently, the bridge builder lied about who he needed protection from, and the truth would have made the mission at least a B rank and more expensive. Kakashi considers returning to the village, especially with Naruto's injury, but Naruto won't have it. He still has to make up for being outperformed by Sasuke, and he stabs himself to further open the wound to get the poison out of his system. The poison out, but so is a lot of the boy's blood. When Kakashi takes a look at it, he sees that the wound has already begun to heal and wonders if the power comes from the nine-tailed fox. Elsewhere, the man who hired the assassins complains to their leader about their failure. Not to worry, the leader himself will take care of this. The squad has to take a boat to get to the land of waves. The boatman warns them to be quiet, so they go unnoticed. Kakashi demands the builder tell them why he's being pursued in the first place. He reveals that a man named Go, a well-known businessman, is really a Criminal the Builder's village was an easy conquest for the shipping tycoon, it being an island and he having control of the waterways. The completion of the bridge will get Wave Country out of Go stronghold. They make landfall and head for the builder's home. Naruto is hyper alert, trying to stay ahead of Sasuke and throws knives into the bushes at the slightest provocation, nearly taking out a rabbit. Kakashi notices that the rabbit's fur is the wrong color for the season and concludes that it must have been raised in captivity for the purpose of substitution jutsu. The enemy realizes they're traveling with the copy ninja, which explains why his subordinates failed, and then he makes his move. Kakashi warns the kids to stay back. He tells them to protect the builder and reveals his shouting gun, a rare power that resides in the eye and allows those who have it to see through certain attacks and deflect them. It can also analyze a technique which can then be instantly replicated by the user. That's what makes Kakashi the copy ninja. Apparently the shouting gun is a rare trait that is also possessed by the man Sase ultimately wants to kill. He wonders if Kakashi might somehow be related to him. The enemy moves over the water, builds up a large amount of chakra, and then vanishes. The young ninja are frozen in fear of the strength of this enemy. Kakashi telling them all about just how skillful and deadly the guy is doesn't help, but they need to know what they're up against. Suddenly Zabuza, their enemy, is within their defensive formation. Kakashi rushes in and stabs the assassin, but it's just a water clone jutsu. He copies the technique and gets the drop on Zabuza with a knife to his throat, and the fight looks like it's over just like that, but the rogue ninja just laughs. This too is a water clone, and he attacks Kakashi from behind, landing a kick that sends him flying into the nearby water. This is where Zabuza has the advantage, and he traps Kakashi in a water prison. Maintaining the water prison keeps Zabuza tied up, so he creates a water clone to finish his mission. He berates the young ones for even calling themselves ninjas. They're so inexperienced in matters of life and death. It's an insult to the title. He attacks Naruto not to kill him, but to show him just how vulnerable he is against him, and he knocks his headband to the ground and puts his foot on it. Kakashi tells the kids to run, but Sasuke knows it's futile. Their only chances to free him. He makes a move, throwing several shuriken to distract him, followed by a direct assault, but is easily tossed away. Naruto is again frozen in fear until he builds himself up, remembering his promise never to back down again, and he refuses to let Sasuke outshine him again. He charges the assassin, but doesn't seem to fare any better than SAS until he reveals that despite having to take a brutal blow for it, his objective was to retrieve his headband, which he did. He tells Sasuke he has a plan, and the trio gets ready to free their sensei. The assassin goes on the offensive, targeting Sasuke. Naruto uses his shadow clone jutsu to try and save him. All the clones attack at once in a pileup, but it's no use. Zabuza breaks free, but it's all going according to plan. Naruto tosses a massive shik to Sasuke, who winds up and throws it with everything he's got. It whizzes past the enemy water clone, targeting the assassin. Himself full of himself, he catches it out of the air, but there's a second one right behind it that he only narrowly evades. But wait for it, the second one is Naruto using transformation jutsu, who then fires a kunai blade at him from behind. The attack is just enough to break the assassin's concentration, and when he goes to retaliate, Kakashi breaks free and stops him before he can hurt the kids. Nudo brags about how great his plan was, and it kind of was. Zabuza isn't giving up that easily though, and the two start chanting while making various hand gestures. Kakashi is copying his technique simultaneously, and they both unleash a water dragon jutsu. The two lock blades as the jutsu cancel each other out. Zabuza wonders how Kakashi can copy him in real time without delay. Seemingly reading his mind, somehow he copies the next jutsu before the assassin can even perform the technique himself, and washes him away, and then attacks with 4 kunai blades, 1 for each limb, before he can strike him down. For good, 2 needles come out of nowhere and embed themselves in Zabuza's neck. The masked ninja who threw them puts everyone on edge, and he or she thanks them for their help in taking the assassin out. This new assassin that they keep referring to as Hisoso Wallai is a member of the elite tracking ninjas from the village of the Mist. Natuto starts to lay into him for stepping in, but he's altogether dismissive of his presence. He takes up the body and disappears. A frustrated Nuto starts punching the ground. Kakashi reminds him that they haven't completed their mission yet. The builder offers his home to them to rest and spend the night. When they go to leave, Kakashi passes out from the exertion of the battle after they make it to the builder's home, and Kakashi recovers a bit. He tells the young ninjas about the elite tracking squad that the masked ninja is a part of, but it turns out the mask is a phony and he's working with the assassin. Kakashi feels that something is off about the situation but can't quite place it. Slowly he pieces it together. Trackers finish off their prey on the spot, but this masked boy carried the body away, after precisely knocking him unconscious to a state of apparent death there. Sensei won't be back on his feet for a few days, but that doesn't mean he can't prepare the young ninjas. In the meantime, the builder's grandson comes home and smack talks the trio, infuriating Yuto, but he changes his tune a bit when he notices the boy crying over the loss of his father. Kakashi begins their training, starting with a recap on chakra. Since they are barely scratching the surface of their usage of it, it doesn't matter how much chakra they can produce if they can't regulate it properly while using their technique. So as a first test, they're to climb a tree without using their hands. Their sensei demonstrates and proceeds to walk up a tree crutches and all. They must channel their chakra to the bottoms of their feet and maintain it. They each do as instructed and try running up the trees, but don't make it very far. Well, the boys don't. Sokka leaves them in the dust and climbs a tree with no problem, but it doesn't impress Sasuke as much as she'd hoped. Naruto and Sasuke lock eyes, determined to beat each other. The builder's grandson watches the fledgling ninjas completely unimpressed. Elsewhere, the man who hired the assassins lays into Zabuza for his failure. The masked boy comes to his defense and they'll get another chance to prove their worth. Meanwhile, the trio continues their attempts to climb trees. Naruto surprises Sakura by asking for her advice instead of blowing up. Their sensei observes and notes that Naruto's levels of chakra surpass even his own. While working on the bridge, one of the builder's workers approaches him and announces his resignation. The men go to hide are too dangerous and he fears it won't be long before they target the work crew. The sun begins to set as Naruto and Sasuke continue their competition to the top of the tree in town. Sakura knocks out a thief that went for her bag out on the street. She thinks she'll have to do it again to someone coping a feel, but it's just a kid begging for food. She gives the child a bit of what she has, which is some candy. For some reason, not exactly the most nutrient-dense option for the malnourished kid, but calories are calories, I suppose. Night falls and Naruto thinks back on Sakura's advice but gets interrupted by Sasuke, who wants in on whatever Sakura told him, but he isn't about to share. Sakura notices the builder's family portrait. There's a corner torn off, removing a figure. She wonders about the boy's father. Little is said about his biological father, but there was a man who assumed the role well enough for him to call him dad. One day some bullies threw him into the ocean. He couldn't swim and was doomed to drown, but the man saved him and with time became part of the family. He went on to become something of a hero in the village, but not long after Go stepped in with his goons to snuff out the beacon of hope that he had become. They made an example of him and straight up publicly crucified and executed the guy. Despite overexerting himself, Naruto is determined to prove to the builder's grandson that heroes do exist. The next day, the masked boy without the mask and looking very much like a girl notices a sleeping Naruto in the middle of the woods. Sasuke decides to go for a walk after breakfast, over which they were discussing whether Naruto can handle himself out there. The gender dynamic individual wakes Naruto up and he becomes a bit flustered upon seeing the attractive stranger. The GDI reminisces on how Zabuza found HM as a kid living on the streets mostly. She gets up to leave and mentions that he's actually a boy, which leaves Naruto feeling a little awkward about how he was feeling. Sasuke comes along and finds him when Sakura and Kakashi catch up to them. Naruto demonstrates his mastery of the tree climbing technique, but when he tries to show off and fails, Sasuke comes to his rescue. They return to the builder's home and they're appointed as his bodyguards after successfully completing their tree training. The grandson has been on the edge of a pure dark nihilism since his father's death and is a bit self-indulgent in assuming that no one's got it worse than him. Seeing Naruto's ambition and determination infuriates him. Whatever. Naruto is tired of trying to convince him of anything and tells him to go ahead and cry his life away if he wants. The boy runs out of the room and Kakashi goes to find him. He explains that Naruto probably knows how he feels better than most. The next day, Zabuza and Haku, who is a boy by his own admission, prepare to launch an assault on the bridge. Naruto wakes up to find everybody's gone. Apparently Kakashi was giving him the day off, but he's not about to lounge around and sleep all day. When the others make it to the bridge, they discover the workers all knocked out. A foggy mist envelopes them and they hear Zabuza's voice. Suddenly they're surrounded by water clones. Old news. Sasuke enthusiastically takes them out. Naruto rushes through the forest on his way to the bridge, but something catches his eye on the bridge. The ninjas square often prepared to throw down. Meanwhile, some of Goto's goons show up at the builder's place to take the boy's mother hostage. She agrees to cooperate so long As they leave the kid alone, they tie her up as he breaks down and apologizes for not knowing what to do. He remembers those in his life who encouraged him to be strong, and he gains the resolve to stand up to the goons Haku and Sasuke. Lock blades, he tells him to give up, they just want the bridge builder and he already has the advantage. The boy surprises everyone by signing with one hand. Naruto shows up back at the builder's home, having deduced that trouble was on the way from what he saw in the woods. While the goons are distracted with the boy, he's able to get in there and save his mom. He throws a couple of Cheyenne that transform into shadow clones and attack from a blind angle. The jutsu combo is very effective after tying up the goons and making sure the kid is alright. Naruto rushes off towards the bridge. Sas tries to use what he learned climbing trees to match Haku's speed, but Haku has another trick up his sleeve. He uses his secret jutsu and creates a dome of mirrors made of ice and then slips inside when he proceeds to zip around from mirror to mirror, throwing needles at Sas from every angle. Sakura tries to help him by throwing him a kunai, but Haku catches the blade. Suddenly he's hit by something and knocks out of the mirror. It's Naruto making a flashy intro. He yells out that he's using shadow clone jutsu, and as Zabuza decides to interfere and fires some shuriken, Haku then quickly launches some needles that deflect Zabuza's attack. Everyone's confused for a moment. Kakashi breaks the awkward moment by chewing out Naruto for completely disregarding what makes them ninjas. The element of surprise and deception. Haku insists on dealing with his end of the battle on his own terms. Sasuke tries to ascertain how the ice mirrors work and figures that with him inside the dome, Naruto can attack from outside simultaneously, but of course Naruto sneaks up beside Sasuke there in the dome, completely destroying their two-front advantage. Sasuke tries to melt the mirrors with fire. It doesn't work. Naruto tries using his shadow clones, equally ineffective. Kakashi figured out that the technique is a KK Genkai, so there's no way to destroy it, and he can't even copy it. But Naruto is undeterred. How could he become the greatest Hokage if he just backs down? Haku tells them he really isn't interested in killing or even fighting them at all, but if they don't stand down, he won't either, and he'll take it as far as it has to go. Not having many options, Kakashi goes for his headband to unleash his Shoten gun, but Zabuza notices, closes in, and stabs his hand. Zabuza monologues about finding Haku and training him to become a shinobi who can go toe-to-toe with the best. Naruto tries using his shadow clones again, but it's still not enough to gain the upper hand. But Sas is watching carefully, and even though he can't match Haku's speed, he's learning about how he moves. He picks up on the fact that when there's water in the air and Haku moves through it, it has an observable tracer effect. Zabuza uses hidden mist jutsu to disappear into the surrounding fog. Since everyone else is busy, Sakura guards the bridge builder in the dome. Instead of relying on the water, Sasuke launches broad fire attacks to both track Haku's movement and hopefully do some damage. His first attempt surprises Haku but doesn't hit him. The second time around, he gets a piece of his kimono. Zabuza proceeds to deconstruct Kakashi's Shoten gun, whose effects are twofold: the ability to perceive and copy a jutsu and its hypnotic influence. So when it seems like he's predicting the future, he's actually replicating moves that he himself is hypnotically suggesting his opponent performs. Zabuza now knows that to avoid this, all he has to do is keep his eyes closed. Sas tells Naruto to attack from the outside so he can get a hit in, but Naruto's attempts to get out of the mirror doom are thwarted and Sas's attacks evaded. They're reaching the limits of their chakra. Just one more time and Haku quickly shuts down their plan. Kakashi loses track of Zabuza and surmises that his plan is to attack the bridge builder. He rushes to save him just as Zabuza appears behind him. Upon hearing Sakura scream, Naruto tells Sasuke that he'll bust them out so they can save her, but when he goes to try, Haku riddles him with needles. Sasuke goes to help him and surprises Haku by blocking his needle attack. It's time to go, but when he turns to Naruto, he's out of steam and passes out. Sasuke goes beyond his limit and reveals his Shoten gun. Instead of facing down Sas directly, Haku points his next attack at a vulnerable Naruto. Sasuke has no choice but to run to his defense and take the attack himself. Kakashi has faith in his pupils and races after Zabuza. Naruto comes to and notices Sas full of needles, wondering why he saved him. He replies that he doesn't know, he kind of hated him, but his body moved on its own. He's gravely wounded, but before he loses consciousness, he mentions his brother. The person he wanted to take vengeance on is still alive. His objective will go unaccomplished. Naruto must live and not let his dream die. For the first time, Naruto is fueled by a sincere intent to kill. Flames start swirling around him. and he takes on characteristics of the 19-tailed fox. Kakashi recognizes the chakra and can't believe what he's seeing. The seal's been broken. No, it's only been loosened. Kakashi decides it's time to end this and whips out a scroll. Meanwhile, Naruto's power is too much for Haku to handle and his mirrors shatter. The fox lunges forward right before his fist connects. He pauses upon seeing the boy's face again. He holds back but still rocks him in the face. Haku reveals the reason for his loyalty to Zabuza. His father killed his mother. After discovering her KK Genkai, Zabuza took him in and saw his powers as something he could use. Now that he's been beaten, he feels useless, like he's lost his purpose, and pleads with Naruto to kill him. Kakashi activates a summoning jutsu. He had baited Zabuza to cut him so the hounds he summoned could track the blood on his blade through the mist. He proceeds to use his own jutsu to finish him off. It's so powerful that its energy is visible. Naruto refuses to go through with killing Haku, unable to understand how Haku can see himself as merely a weapon to be used. The builder's grandson tries to rustle up some help from the other villagers, but they don't want to get involved. Undeterred, he continues to go door to door, but nobody will listen. Naruto builds himself up to kill Haku, but before he can stab him, Haku stops him dead in his trap, apparently finding his will to live at the last second. As Kakashi goes to end Zabuza, Haku jumps in front of his jutsu, sacrificing himself for his master. Meanwhile, the grandson prepares to head out to the bridge on his own. He now understands that it's the only right thing to do, even if it costs him his life. When he leaves the house, he's met by the other villagers, pitchforks in, and everyone on the bridge just stands there in awe, and Zabuza try to take advantage of the situation and attacks Kakashi. He dodges at the last second, taking the boy with him. Zabuza was going to cut right through the corpse as well. Kakashi tells an approaching Naruto to stay out of it. This is his fight now. Sokka turns to Naruto and asks where Sasuke is, but he can't bring himself to tell her. She finds him unconscious, fears the worst, and breaks down. Zabuza attacks a reinvigorated Kakashi, who counters everything he throws at him. Then everyone turns to see his boss appear with a mob of goons raring and ready to go. Zabuza asks his employer what's going on. Apparently he's too expensive and is no longer on the payroll. Well, it looks like he no longer has any quarrel with Kakashi, so they team up. When Go disrespects Haku's body, Naruto loses it and starts going off on Zabuza for not defending his pupil. His words strike a chord despite his arms being paralyzed by Kakashi's last attack. He asks for Naruto's kunai, takes it in his teeth, and charges the mob. He makes his way through the crowd and takes out their employer, but takes multiple spears to the back in doing so. Meanwhile, Sasuke comes to only for Sakura to smother him with their employer dead and therefore no possibility of a payment. The gang of miscreant decides they'll raid the village's coffers. Then the builder's grandson shows up with the rest of the town to improve their show of force. Naruto and Kakashi put a few shadow clones out there as well. Outnumbered, the thugs turn tail and run. Zabuza asks Kakashi to place him next to Haku so he can see him one final time. After putting the dead to rest, the ninjas are bid farewell by the villagers and they head back to the Hidden Valley. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this.